No Fap November has been a trend that's been circling on the internet for the past 2 years, and pretty much it's a trend where men hold in their love juices for the month of November, and I don't really know why this has been a trend, but anyways, countless YouTubers and celebrities have tried it and done reviews, and this challenge was actually brought upon to me by force, nor did I even know I was partaking in it. But before I get into how it happened, I'll just tell you this, is that for some time I was in military boarding school, which was pretty strict on having recruits please themselves, as the initiation period was 4 months, and it was like right before you went to school, and it was pretty much just saying like, let's turn these kids into men sort of thing, just like what you'd expect. So anyways, that's the whole backstory to this whole thing. So, and this was at 14, so I was pretty much at the peak of when kids are like at their sexual intensity of chafing the carrot. And I mean, during that time, like prior to going, I remember easily doing like 2 a day. You know, people, if you kids are at that age now, I'm sure you might be even doing more, because I feel like people in the other generations, like before mine, are gonna they're just even more intense than the ones after. But whatever, look, the point is, it was bad before. So now I went from doing 2 a day and just finding out this was an amazing thing, for it to being ripped away from me, because I'm not about to do what I'm gonna do normally at a military school that I'm new to. I mean, it was a boarding school, okay, so I wasn't gonna do that. So you can already imagine how it's going to be problematic, seeing as the situation allows no time to be doing it. And it was made very clear, let me tell you this, it was made very clear early on that people who released themselves would experience swift and harsh punishment. I actually knew a kid in my company, which was, by the way, companies like a group of recruits who got caught and got punished, and you had to wear a white glove for a week on your dominant hand, and everyone knew what that meant. So you were just going to be subject to like mass harassment from superiors and subordinates alike, and it was just overall a sticky situation. So anyways, you're probably wondering, how did I go for so long? And I'll tell you, I barely survived. I prayed for wet dreams to come my way, as like cleaning my sheets was going to be a better alternative than the harassment awaiting if I was caught, which I would have been caught anyways, because we had a barracks room which you bunk with, and you're fairly open bathroom, so there's like no places to do it. So when you got caught, like you got caught in a really bad, I'm not going to use it again, but you got caught really easily red-handed, because the bathrooms are pretty much open. You had a bunk bed, just not a fun situation. So, and at 14, my stealth wank levels were they're not like it is today. Now I could probably sleep next to someone and probably do one, but at 14, when it's a new trait of mine, there was no way I was going to do that. So I think I stayed out as long as I did, probably because I was just afraid. I was like, there's no way I'm going to end up getting caught, and if I did, another problem too is I was afraid of my master sergeant, who, his name was Master Sergeant Klein. He's made appearances in other of my stories, but pretty much the problem with him is that he was just a tough guy. I mean, he was just a jacked, sculpted piece of perfection, and he just had a crackling voice. He was a 17-year-old junior, but he was just so huge. Even to this day, I think about him, and he looked at least like he was 25. I mean, it was insane. He was huge, and whenever he screamed at you, you did not want to mess up again. It was not fun, but I did what I could to stay busy. I mean, that was the best thing I could do, was I was just trying to stay busy all the time. And so I was a self-appointed company barber, so I was just shaving kids' heads. So we had to maintain, as you saw earlier, we had to maintain buzz cuts, which made us look like neo-Nazis if you were white, and if you were whole wheat colored, you looked like pretty much like a terrorist. But the black kids, I have to say, they had it perfect. They looked good. I mean, they were the type of guys that the before and after photo, the after photo was like way better, whereas for everyone else, the after photo after our shaved heads, we looked horrible. Like, we just looked like we were miserable and bad. But all the black kids, like, looked great. I don't know, like, just lucky, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, so that was my thing. I would just cut people's hair that needed it to be cut, and I would do it by getting just after third mess, pretty much we had some free time, and they would come into the company showers, and I had to get like a big plop of shaving paste. I'd put it on their heads, and with a little like razor, which you use for your face, I would cut the little follicles of hair they had growing on everyone's scalps, and that was the thing I did to stay busy. If I wasn't marching or busy getting screamed at by Master Sergeant Klein, that was the thing I did. So fast forward like 2-3 months, and at this point I could pretty much tell you I stopped thinking about it, which is probably why there's so many positive reviews for this trending coming up and saying that it wasn't that bad. But the thing is, with me, what I had going for me was that I was 14, and that I had things like Master Sergeant Klein, daily fights, early physical training, and wearing a white glove to worry about, like I had a lot of things not telling me just don't do it, where at 14 be able to do it if I wasn't doing anything else. But that's what happened. So it was like 4 months where I just did that. As soon as I got out, the first thing I did was just that. But I waited for a while. I was literally thinking about doing it on the airplane back with my dad, but I was like, you know what? Let's not. I'm just gonna wait for the perfect moment. I was like, we'll just wait till I get home. So that was the plan. So I waited till I get home. I get through all the greets and whatever with all my families and friends. And that was it. I waited for the perfect moment where my parents left and I was get candles and everything. I'm like, I'm ready to freaking do this. And it lasted 0.2 seconds as just this huge slur of dopamine just hit me. And as early as 14, I realized that this is a God-given thing. Like, wait, don't let this trend take this away from you guys, because that was just pretty much my run-in with this trend, which didn't exist back then, but that was my run-in with it, because the trend was the same, whether I experienced it through doing it through the trend or being forced to do it. The point is, I still partook in it, and I can tell you, it was not worth it. So I don't see why people do it. I don't understand it, but that was my thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed.